Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me today for the Stamp Around UK video hop, where we are all using Sale-a-bration items to inspire you, share ideas on how we can use those products that we can earn for free during this wonderful celebration. It's running right through to the end of February, so there's plenty of time to have a look at the new catalogue, annual catalogue, and decide what you would like to purchase, and then what you may want to earn as your Sale-a-bration items, which are free with qualifying orders. So some of them will be free with a £45 order. So I'm just turning quickly to this page where we have this beautiful designer series paper, and this is free with a £45 order. We have this wonderful bundle. This one you would need to spend £90 to qualify to get that particular item. Okay, so it's all very clearly laid out in the little brochure there, what is available. The set I'm using is called Camellia. Now this one is right at the back of the, well, so right at the back, not quite at the back because the joining offer is at the back. A very enticing offer there to join Stampin' Up, and you get loads of product for that little joining in your starter kit when you join. But Camellia is actually a host set. Okay, so a host set is a stamp set that you can get when you reach a certain threshold on your order. So if you're looking at something or looking to purchase a lot of items outside of the starter kit, then this will be something that you may be able to earn. Okay, it is a distinctive stamp set. It's really beautiful, but I thought I'd just give it a little bit of a showcase today with the project that I'm doing today. Right, so this is my sample card that we're going to jump from. Okay, where I've used the leaf there to stamp a background. Colours I've used are Evening Evergreen, Mint Macaron, and Soft Succulent. Very dramatic dark colour in the background. It lifts it all up, and we've got all those dark accents with some coordinating ribbon there, and just a simple sentiment on the front. So that is the launch point for what we're going to create today. Okay, so in true me fashion, I'm going to mix up the colours, just bringing in some grid paper and some basic white here to do some stamping on. So I'm going to go for a more sort of autumnal palette and bring in some colours that aren't used a lot. Okay, so this is Cajun Craze. It's a really lovely russet colour, and then I've got some Bumblebee as my layer here. So this is a little smaller than normal. So this measures 5.5 by 3 3/4, so it's a 1/4 inch smaller than it would normally be, card base cut to the usual dimensions. So the whole colour palette is going to be Cajun Craze, Bumblebee, and Pumpkin Pie for my sort of autumnal feel to the proceedings. Okay, so the darkest colour is going to be the base. I've chosen the lightest colour for the layering, and then I'm going for my mid-tone, which is the Pumpkin Pie, to create my stamped border. And instead of using the leaf, I'm going to bring in the large floral, the Camellia. Just open that ink pad. So much larger image, so you're going to have to just make sure that you cover your stamp thoroughly with the ink. This is an E-block. It's quite large to handle, so you may wish to use the Stamparatus to help you stamp this image. And it's just a delightful image there. It gives you that sort of rustic look to it. It's one of the, because of the nature of it, if it doesn't stamp perfectly first time, then it kind of adds the effect, if you like. So just rotating the stamp round, and we're going to build up all over this piece of basic white. Isn't it gorgeous? Just so pretty. Okay, so this is just going to take a little bit of time, mainly because I have to be careful about making sure that's all inked up thoroughly. I think we'll put this one in about there, I think. Just some firm pressure all over that. So you're not sort of jiggling on top of it. You just sort of want some firm, consistent pressure onto the stamp to transfer that image across. And so if you're not able to hold this larger block comfortably, then the Stamparatus would be a good tool to bring into your arsenal. And just purchasing that on its own would qualify you for a Sale-a-bration item, I think. I think it's £44, I think it is. So even if you just wanted to get a Stamparatus and some embellishments or some white cardstock or something like that, you could earn something from Sale-a-bration. So just using the edge there just to fill that in. If it's easier to twist your paper, twist your paper. So this grid paper comes in really super handy for this kind of thing, where we're going to be stamping off the page. Of course, just keeps your desk nice and clean. Also helps you line up your projects and your paper and things like that. So I use it a lot to line up red rubber stamps. So I shall stamp them on the grid paper and look to see if they're straight on the block, and do it that way. Because even with the labels on the back, so I don't use the labels. It's just personal preference. I just don't do it. But even with the labels on, sometimes find that you don't always. It's not always that easy to decide whether a stamp is straight or not. Especially when the rubber's cut at a funny angle, just as part of the process. And it kind of fools your eye into thinking something's straight and it's not. But the grid paper is very useful for that kind of thing. And we have the mini grid paper as well, which fits, designed to fit in the Stamparatus, but it's quite a nice size. I think it's just over 7 inches square, I think it is. Yeah. And that's quite useful to have on hand because it's smaller. You can just grab it and use it underneath your stamps, or as a sort of pad, stamping pad. Or you can obviously use it in this fashion with a smaller piece of cardstock. So there we have our piece of white that's been stamped all over. Okay, so it doesn't take long, but it's a wonderful effect, isn't it? Absolutely wonderful. Let's put that away before we end up with ink in places that we shouldn't. I should say I've already cut this to the appropriate height for the card that I'm going to create. So that is going to be 3 5/8, I should say. Is it? No, it isn't. Don't be daft. It's this one, sorry, which is 5 3/8. And now I'm going to cut the width down. So the layering panel is 3 3/4, so we're just going to take it down to 3 5/8. Okay, and because we've stamped over this portion, we could actually get 2 panels out of this piece of paper. Okay, so we could make 2 cards out of that piece. Alright, I'm going to save that piece though. I'm going to just pull this one. I don't no particular reason why I've chosen this particular panel to work with. It's just there. So that should lay out perfectly onto there, which it does. Okay, so that's how we're looking. So sometimes you don't know just quite how a card is going to turn out until you actually start making it, but that's absolutely fine. Got another piece of scrap white paper, or cardstock I should say, and I'm going to use the darkest colour, the Cajun Craze, to stamp the sentiment there. Lots of light tapping, okay, light sort of tapping. You don't need to press hard into your ink pad, and then firm, consistent pressure onto the block, lift it straight up, and you'll get a perfect image every time, provided it's inked up well. So if you get the ink applied to your stamp well, and you use a good stamping technique, then I'm just going to bring in the scrap paper just once more, because what we're going to do is use the little flourish. So yeah, so once you master how to ink up a stamp and the right pressure to apply, stamping is really, really easy. I think people think that it's difficult and reluctant to try it. I was not a stamper until I found these wonderful products from Stampin Up. So it just goes to show how things change. I've crafted for way too many years. Way too many years. So that was Bumblebee ink, so it's our sort of light colour, just stamped around that to give our sentiment panel just a little bit of interest that we are going to punch using the rectangular postage stamp punch, and this fits beautifully in here, the sentiment does, and because you're catching just that little bit of the that detail from the little swirls that we've added in the background, it just makes it look a little more interesting. You could add them to the background as well before you tape it down. Now on my original sample, ooh, almost pressed it, and so just take your time just to position that underneath the so that it's all straight, and then punch. On my original sample, I'd already taped it all together before I was able to add the swirl. Shall we see what happens? Shall we add something to it? Just for a little more interest. And actually, I haven't actually finished with this. I've just realised there's a step I haven't done, which is just adding a little bit of ink blending. So there's a bit of something on the background there. And we'll use our pumpkin pie, same colour that we stamped with, and bring out one of our blending brushes. And we're just going to apply the merest amount of ink around the edge there, just to take off some of the white. along the edge. Probably doesn't come up that well on camera, but it does make a difference in real life to your elements there. So that's that, and we're going to do the same with the sentiment, just a little bit, just to break up the white on there. So it's very, very subtle, but it'll just help to lift everything off the page when we start putting things together. So there we are. That's all our sort of inky stuff done. We just need to punch out some leaves as accents here. So this is a new punch that we have, and I think it's called Sprigs and Boughs or something. I haven't used it very much, so it's still a little on the stiff side. It's the big leaf that I'm really interested in, so I'm just going to over punch that. It doesn't matter about these little bits that have come out. We don't want those anyway, so we're just going to use the larger sprig there. That was pumpkin pie that I've used there, and like I say, it's these ones that I really want from that. And then the ribbon that we're going to use is the Bumblebee Gingham ribbon. Okay, so we're going to bring in that. Okay, so let's have a start putting some stuff together. That's going to layer onto the bumblebee. Just going to use some Stampin' Seal. Just position that on there. There's a lovely white space there that's begging for that sentiment to go on there. It's going to be lifted up onto some dimensionals, so we'll get those on. I'm just going to use the minis, and I'm going to put a couple at the top, a couple at the bottom, so that it will sort of straddle over the ribbon. You don't really want the dimensionals on top of the ribbon, they won't stick very well. You could use some glue over the top just to help with that, to make sure that they stick. So that's where I think that's going to go, but we just want that ribbon to go behind it. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the Stampin' Seal on the back of the card there, and position our ribbon somewhere around there, and we're going to go around twice, which means we'll get more of an impact from that. Okay, the other ribbon that I use, the In Colour Open Weave ribbon, it layers really, really nicely because it's got that sort of sheer organza part to it. And I made the darker edge in that ribbon overlap, so it just came out really, really cute. Very nice. So that can now go on the card base, and I'm going to put plenty of adhesive on the back of there, which will help secure that ribbon and stop it coming adrift. I'm thinking those additional swells might have been nice in the Cajun craze actually, just to sort of bring them out, but you know, you can experiment with the layout on the serving suggestion I'm giving you here. The green one turned out really, really lovely. In the little in the Sale-a-bration booklet, they've used rich raspberry, I think, as colour So, you know, have a little play around with the colours and see what you think. Just a couple of extra lengths of the bumblebee ribbon going on there. I'm going to position the sentiment first so that we can get that ribbon knot in the right place. So let's pop that down somewhere around there, I think. And then we're just going to thread that under there and just tie it into a simple knot. Now the knot turned out beautifully on the other ribbon. I wonder if this one will play ball. I hope so. There we are. So just getting it as close as I can to that, and giving that a good pull, and that's beautiful. So we can use our scissors now just to clip that to the length we want, and I just cut them at the same angle but slightly longer at the back. Do the same with this one, so we're going to use the card angle if you like. So cut that one and then that one just a little longer, so that sits like that. Sort of persuade it to sit at the right angle for your card to present itself. These are going to tuck in now, so I'm just going to use some wet glue just on the stalks there. A little bit much on that one, so let's just use it on there. So we'll just press that in behind the sentiment under the ribbon. There we go. Wonderful. That will do nicely. Cajun Crows might have popped a little bit more on there. I just didn't have a big enough scrap of that, but I think that would have popped a little more and given it a bit more impact. Okay, and then gems wise, we haven't really got anything that matches particularly with those colours. You could colour some rhinestones or pearls or something, but what we do have is the iridescent rhinestones, which I am absolutely loving at the moment. These are just fantastic, and you get 3 sizes in these, which is even better. So let's use these guys, and they'll pick up the accents from the rest of the card and sort of tone in a little bit. So one of each size there, just popping those in. Okay, voila. Okay, so very different how that's turned out. I do like the impact of this one, just something about it. This one turned out way better than I thought it was going to be honest, but there you go. Fantastic. There's some ideas for you anyway. I hope you've enjoyed my particular project. Please stop by the description and look at all the other videos in today's video hop. Please give them all thumbs ups, likes, subscribes and comments. All be appreciated. Everyone trying to build up their channels on this hop, so that would be really appreciated. Thank you so much for dropping by. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.